Welcome back to The Truth with Trinity, and I am your host, Trinity. And if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, I just want to say welcome. And I wanted to jump right in to the topic of discussion, which is, can black people be racist? Okay, so I don't know about you, but I've heard the argument and the debate amongst black people primarily that black people cannot be racist. Okay, so I wanted to clear a couple of things up about this from my point of view. You have black people that they make speeches, anywhere from hate speeches, about white people to just their uh, viewpoint on their treatment from white people in this country to all sorts of rallies, and you've got all that. You've got videos, you've got tapes, you know, and perhaps saying some negative things about white people, and maybe making some blanket, uh, you know, um, statements. I personally, I don't believe that all white people are racist, but there's too many, um, in this country that turn a blind eye, or either are secretly participants in the destruction and the annihilation of black people. Okay, so let's continue about, can black people be racist um, in this country, and why some people say, why some black people say we can't be racist. Okay, so I often find that black people are racist toward one another more so. And what I mean by that is, you've got light versus dark, and things of that nature. And I think sometimes that derives from, especially with light skin and biracial people, who are mixed with, white descendants and black, one black parent, one white parent. I think a lot of times the world um, subconsciously tells them, you're not white, okay? So you're not white, but you're better than full, because no one's really full blooded, but pretty much two black parents. You're better than a black person, so you can be superior to black people, but you're still inferior to white. So a lot of times that leaves, some, I said some, biracial people and light skinned people maybe to have a tendency to subconsciously feel like, hey, I don't fit in with white people necessarily all the way, but hey, I'm superior than you, being darker. Okay, so we've got a lot of that going on. Then you have darker people, you know, a lot of times, we feel like we're the original humans of the planet. So, you know, um, there may be some mistreatment to other, lighter people. So we've got a whole back and forth thing going on within our race of people, okay? But as far as with white people and racism, okay, I, it would be very difficult to be racist to white people in this country as black people. And I say that because when you look at racism, racism really affects the very intricate parts of a human being's life. It's one thing for you to say, I hate this person, or I hate, or I wish these group of people would die, or something like that, right? This is verbal. But when you start affecting people's housing situations, education, uh, healthcare, and things of that nature, then now we're talking, okay? And let's dive a little deeper into that, okay? So, I, in my opinion, white people in this country will never understand racism to the magnitude, of course, that black people, for the reason why. Let me give a couple examples. Let's just say you go for a loan for a house or a car, okay? And these entities are primarily ran by, of course, Jewish and white people. So, as a black person, you go to someone that has racist undertones and mentality, this loan officer you're going to, he or she may deny you just off of hating you, hating who you are as a black person, okay? And your jobs, most jobs and banks are owned by, white people in this country. So, you know, their feelings, may spill over into how they treat you or what they approve you for, okay? Um, when it comes down to, any aspect, you know, they have the ability to, with their feelings and emotions about how they feel about you, determine your life and how your life will turn out. Um, versus there's very few black people on a ratio scale that have their own businesses. So let's just say there's a white person being discriminated with a group of black people at a job. They have more um, rights in this country to go file a grievance as far as discrimination, and theirs will be held to a higher merit than a black person going to, holler discrimination. Okay? And the reason why a lot of white people um, will never understand that part because when they go in for loan applications and schools for their children and even places just to get something to eat or any of that, entertainment, they don't have to worry about a black person being in position treating them unfairly. As a black person, they may feel like they don't really care for white people, but they have to suck that up because if you let any of that out as far as your decision making or how you treat a white customer, you definitely will be terminated. And it's the opposite. They don't need very much evidence against you to um, file any type of discrimination lawsuit. But as a black person in this country, if you have problems and you have full blown evidence, it definitely will be swept underneath the rug. Okay, so that's why I believe a lot of black people say, hey, black people really can't be racist because they don't have the power to be in this country. And it's not about wanting to be racist. I wish that everyone could get along in this world, because we're all human beings just trying to live every day in life. But the reality is that white people don't have to deal or put up with racism. For example, another example, if their white child has a black teacher that doesn't care for white people, uh, that teacher can't mark up their absences and give them failing grades without being terminated. But on the opposite scale, if there's a Caucasian teacher that is purposely failing her black students, or doesn't care for the black family or the mother, she can mark up her absences, false absences, and say, hey, grounds for truancy, and then as a black parent, you may try to say something about it and fight it within the system, but the system turns a blind eye. They definitely check who the race of the child is and the race of um, the teacher, and they'll sweep it underneath the rug. But it wouldn't be that way, vice versa. Okay, so to really wrap things up, white people in this country, they don't have to deal with not systemic racism, but they don't have to deal with racism from black people because it will not be tolerated and it will definitely be squashed for their protection. Okay, but on the other hand, what I'm saying is that if a black person does have bias and prejudice feelings um, against white people, it definitely will be kept in the closet, and they're not able to affect a white person's life. They can't deny them loans, okay, without a really good explanation, paperwork. Uh, they can't mistreat their children in school, okay, and get away with it. They can't, um, because of their feelings, they can't give white people harsher sentences. So let's just say you have a black judge, and the black judge secretly doesn't care for white people. It definitely better not come out on that judge's seat because you will be removed, you know. But on the other hand, you have white judges that can't stand black people. So that's the feeling, subjective part about it. But how they affect black people's lives with their thoughts is giving them harsher penalties, longer jail sentences, and it's just swept underneath the rug. So I believe that is why some black people, you know, claim that, you know, black people can't be racist because number one, you know, majority of black people, you know, they don't own anything in this country. So white people are never at the mercy of being treated with disdainment and their lives affected, their housing, their education, legal rights, because of course there's mostly, you know, Jewish and white people that own everything in the country, so they don't have to deal with that. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up this segment. Um, and I want to add one more thing. You know, both sides, you know, have things they can work on. You know, black and white people um, in this country, so it's definitely not one sided. But my point was, you know, like I said, both sides have negative viewpoints that can get to violence, but there's only one side that will most likely be penalized for it. Okay, so um, once again, that pretty much wraps up this segment. It's been a pleasure talking with you. If you would like to get in contact with me or share your thoughts, you can at thetruthwithtrinity@gmail.com. Peace and blessings.